Motorists will have to dig deep into their pockets following the announcement of a hefty fuel price hike from midnight. The price of 93 octane petrol will increase by 2.43 cents a litre, up to 23 rand 93. 95 octane petrol is going up by 2.33 cents a litre to 24 and 17. Diesel going up by over a rand. Well, I'm joined now by Matthew Parks, Parliamentary Coordinator for union umbrella body Cosatu. Matthew, thank you so much for your time. So the tax relief cushion has been extended, £1.50 for the month of June and then half, 75 cents for July. But it's still putting our petrol and diesel prices at levels we've never seen before. What is Cosatu's response?
Look, it's a difficult one. I mean, these are circumstances which are really beyond South Africa's controls because of the war in Ukraine and the subsequent international hike in international oil prices. And of course, that means our fuel prices go up. So look, we want to welcome the extension of the R1.50 relief given by Treasury for April and May. This has been extended until the 5th of July. So that is a positive relief. But I mean, we're disappointed by it's not enough. We're still going to see about a R2.30 increase in fuel, a R1.10 increase in diesel, similar increases in paraffin, and so on. So it really is going to be quite a devastating blow to workers. Workers already spend on average about a quarter of their salary on transport getting to work. That's going to make it more difficult for workers. It's going to see food prices increase. It's going to see electricity prices possibly go up as well because a lot of Eskom's load shedding is linked to using of diesel. So it really is a blow to workers who are struggling. It's also a blow to the economy at large because workers will have less money to spend in the economy. It's a blow to companies which are going to find it more difficult to sustain their operations, make it more difficult for them to create and even to save jobs. So really it is quite a painful blow to the economy when we can least afford it.
And as you say, not all of that is under our government's control, but you do make the point that currently half of our fuel price goes to levies and taxes, which is an astonishing amount. And a lot of people are saying our neighbouring countries pay a lot less for petrol. The reality, of course, though, Matthew, is those taxes are used to fund other vital areas of the running of our country. So if we demanded an easing of the fuel price through slashing these taxes too much, wouldn't that mean that other areas of the fiscus are under terrible strain? How do we get this right?
Well, look, it is exactly that. So we can say let's reduce taxes. Taxes alone is a third of the fuel price. So if you reduce the taxes or removed it, you could save several rand a litre, which would help, ease a bit on consumers, on the economy. Of course, you then have to plug that hole in the fiscus by moving money or finding additional revenue or cutting back. So it is a tough one. We think there are some measures which we can put in place now, and we had hoped really to hear from government what is the plans beyond the 5th of July, because we can't continue this kind of heavy burden to the economy. We think number one is to get all of Metro Rail's lines back up and running, because that can help to move about 10 million commuters in our cities from vehicles to trains. We think we should also be looking at Parliament urgently retabling, or the Department of Transport rather, retabling the RAF and the RABS bills at Parliament, because those are going to seek to get the road accident fund back into a sustainable financial trajectory. Right now, the road accident fund has a liability of about 400 billion rand. A huge part of the fuel levy goes to subsidizing the RAF. Sadly, for some very strange reason, Parliament had rejected it previously, so it needs now to come back to Parliament. We think there are other measures government should be looking at. For example, deregulating the fuel price regime.
And that's interesting.
Diesel right now is deregulated.
Yes, so as you say, diesel is deregulated. Interesting, one of the statements released this afternoon, and it says, from the 1st of June, the Department of Mineral Resources will remove the demand-side management levy of 10 cents a litre applied to inland 95 octane, but it is proposed the basic fuel price also be decreased by 3 cents a litre in the coming months. But now here we get interesting. They're continuing with consultations to remove the price cap on 93, which will partially deregulate the market. Is that going to be a game changer? And if so, how?
Look, we hope it can. I mean, the normal theories of a competition. You allow consumers some choice. They'll go to the petrol station, which offers them a lower petrol price. You can see there with diesel. At times it becomes significant between petrol stations around diesel. It might vary as much as R1.50 per litre in petrol stations within a kilometre of each other. So that does give some power to consumers to pick and choose. We think that will help to put pressure on petrol stations to reduce the prices. So we really need a multi-pronged approach. So we also need to see about how can we invest further in public transport, not only trains, but also buses and taxis to help reduce the amount of people using vehicles. We'd also hope government will begin to make measures to take over some of the oil refineries which are being closed down by some suppliers across the economy. We should also be looking at longer-term measures as well. Some of them are electric vehicles, be it cars, be it buses, be it trains, because that's going to help insulate us from the international oil prices. Because to be fair, Sally, you might recall when we had the Gulf War about 20 years ago or so.
Yeah.
International oil prices jumped to a similar amount. So every time we get held hostage to this crisis, we need to now begin to look at long-term protections for our economy.
Fair enough. I understand, of course, that Cosatu represents workers and your first duty is to them. But increasingly, if we look at our unemployment numbers, there are so many people who should be working, who've given up. Millions and millions of South Africans who don't even have a job. I had a discussion with your colleague, Mike Shingange, on eNCA last week, and we spoke about the big ask for public servants, that they want a really high increase, over 12% in some cases. And the argument, of course, is inflation is skyrocketing. The truth is, inflation is going to affect everyone, workers and those who don't have work. And he said something very interesting, is that unions would be prepared to consider compromising on their increased demands if some of the measures taken by government would help everybody, the employed and the unemployed. And we're talking about things like removing VAT on chicken and other staples, so broadening the VAT-free tax pool, looking more concretely at relieving the pressure at the pumps. Is this something that Cosatu is actively engaging on? A real compromise, saying, all right, workers are prepared to accept less increase if government is prepared to commit to more VAT-free goods, lower petrol prices, and really getting the railways up and running again?
No, exactly. That's some of the discussions we've been having with government around the social compact, which the President called for in the State of the Nation address in February. In fact, if you look at the public service wage agreement last year, it was the lowest in more than a decade, and part of it was an increase to the payroll, but far below inflation, and other parts was a simple once-off gratuity. So we think there is space to show solidarity. We don't think it should be simply workers who tighten the belt, but everybody should compromise, everybody should contribute. So there are some things we said can and should be done. For example, can you make sure the increases go to the lower paid workers, be it in the public sector or the private sector? Can we see a reduction in the wage gap between what politicians earn and senior management in the state, but even the CEOs of some of the private sector companies? It can't be right for the CEO of a mining company, Sibanye, to be earning 300 million rand in a single year, yet refusing to give mine workers a simple 150 rand additional increase in the month. We think there is a need to fill some of the critical vacancies in the public service. For example, nurses, we have one nurse doing the job of 3 nurses. Yep. Same thing with teachers or police officers and so forth. But also, can we give relief to the unemployed, like the 350 SOD grant? Can we look at increasing the presidential employment program, which has given job opportunities to about 500,000 young people? So there's a variety of interventions, but I think also, Sally, is that those kind of give relief for now and for the medium term, but we need to address the fundamental cause of the economic crisis. So there's load shedding in electricity. Let's fix Eskom. Let's fix Transnet, which is key to our export sectors. Let's fix Metro Rail, which is key to getting workers to work. Let's tackle corruption. Let's rebuild local government to provide the basic services which attract companies to invest in town. So it's a multi-pronged approach, and those are the kind of discussions which we support and which we're keen to get government business to come to the party on.
All right. So thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. Matthew Parks, Parliamentary Coordinator for Union Umbrella Body Cosatu. And Cosatu, of course, has welcomed the extension of that tax relief cushion for fuel, but also dismayed at the massive increase, acknowledging that some of it's out of government's hands, but urging quick action on the areas that government can control, looking at the road accident fund levy that comes from the price of petrol, getting metro rail lines up and running. That is the cheapest mode of transport.